Good morning, guys. Yeah, wherever you might be, if you're in Malawi, it's 7 a.m. But somewhere in the world, it's still yesterday. It's still Monday. But yeah, no. If you're just catching us wherever or whatever time you're catching us on, I just want to welcome you to this devotion that we call Uplifted, and we're hoping at the end of this that you're gonna be uplifted, you're gonna be feel encouraged. And today we'll be starting kind of like a five-part series in a way that we're calling mission, and just looking into this concept of mission. So, welcome. You know what? We are starting this new series that we have entitled Mission. And with mission, we'll just be looking at some things that God calls us to do, and how to embark on that mission. And today we're answering the question, how do I start what God wants me to do? So that's what we're answering today. We apologize for the sound. So let's read that passage again. Go for it, Kate.
Isaiah 6 verse 8, it says, Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send, and who will go for us? And I said, Here am I, send me.
Beautiful. All right. Yeah. So that's Isaiah, who, is in a space where God is calling him. He sees this vision. He's in the presence of God, and God calls him into this amazing mission. But when he got into the presence of God, he saw how sinful he was. So he got so very, very uncomfortable, and therefore, it so happens that in the end of it, because God is so gracious, He still says, "Who shall I send?" And Isaiah says, "Here I am, send me, Lord." And God sends him, gives him a mission. So how do you start what God wants you to do? And I think we're just kind of looking at. There are things that hinder us, to start from what God wants us to do. And the first thing, probably the main thing, is fear. When we are afraid, we are so afraid that we don't want to embark on what God wants us to. And mainly, we are so afraid because we focus more on the risks of what comes with embarking or doing what God wants us to do. And therefore, you find yourself like, you're looking at the risks that comes with, you're like, I don't know if I can embark on this because it's going to be crazy, it's going to be messed up. Therefore, I will do this tomorrow, I'll do this next week, or maybe I'm going to do it next year, because you're looking at the risks that come with it. But following God, following Jesus is not safe.
No.
And safety is not promised, but obedience, that we just obey Him. So that's kind of the first thing. What another thing? What other things hinders from starting?
Maybe the one thing I'd add to that is, like, I think I'm an expert at identifying risks. I'm so good at it. But I totally agree. There's a place for knowing risks. And there's a place for just saying, actually, there's always risk. The world isn't a safe place. But another one is being obsessed with perfection. So I think there's a saying of perfection being the enemy of good. And when we are waiting to achieve perfection or have the perfect conditions before we start what God wants us to do, we wait forever. And Isaiah knew that. He wasn't perfect. He had just confessed that. But he still said, God, I'm willing, send me.
Absolutely. So he goes for it, even though even in there he wasn't perfect. Even in that story it shows. But he never paid more attention on, how imperfect I am. I'm still gonna go on for God. So the same happens for you. Do not focus more on perfection, but on the progress that there is. And the other thing that hinders you from starting what God wants you to start can be, your willingness of wanting to have everything that you need before you start. So I want to have everything that I need before I start. I always share about this reality that actually the iPhone, the iPhone was first introduced on June 29, 2007. I always remember that date because Steve Jobs did a fantastic job launching the iPhone. And you should check it out on YouTube. It's absolutely brilliant. But they never waited to have the current iPhone, which is what I think the 11, Max or whatever, Pro. They never waited to have that. Had it been they waited to have that, they wouldn't have lost the first
Yeah,
generation. So they say, let's go for it, and then you improve on that.
Yep.
And it could be the same for your life. Do not wait to have everything that you need. Start with the first generation. Start with the first version of whatever that is, and then it'll be improving as you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, what could be another thing
That's
that
great.
hinders?
I think that's kind of about not having all of the resource maybe that we need, but the other thing is we can't wait to have all the information we need.
Yeah.
Again, I'm terrible at this. I'm the person who skips and reads the last chapter of the book before and reads about the TV show online before those episodes come. But the reality of life is we can't do that.
Yeah.
We can't read the finishing chapter yet. We have to trust God. And like Isaiah does this as well. He said yes before he knew all the details.
Yeah.
That God was sending him on. And we have to do that as well.
Yeah.
Don't we? We have to say yes and trust that God does know all those details.
Yeah, absolutely. So so you don't need to have everything that you need to at the moment, just trust.
Yeah.
And Isaiah didn't have to have all the information that he needed. He just said yes, and then later on God told him what he needed.
Yep.
So maybe today if the question is how do I start, what's the answer? The answer is start from where you're at.
Yep.
The answer is start from where you're at the moment. Wherever you're at, start from there.
Yeah.
Do we have any other question that we want to ask people today?
No, I think that's a great point. Even with that, like, don't you feel like you want to give an answer where to start? We want to give this big answer that sounds amazing, not to say that start where you're at doesn't, but it's so simple.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's great.
Yeah, totally. All right, guys, we're gonna finish it up. We apologize for those that were with us at the beginning with no sound, but hey, we got it in the end. We hope you've been encouraged, because an encouraged person is a growing person. So go and grow and have a beautiful one. Thank you, guys. Until next time.